Welcome back, Sacred Site Oracles. We are finding ourselves at the slopes of Mount Carmel, a holy mountain in the area of back when our beloved lineage of the Magdalenes was alive, which was called Galilee or Judea, which today would be in modern-day Palestine. And Mount Carmel preserved a lineage of grail codes of ascension and incarnation through which the Divine Mother brings forth Christ consciousness. That is a line from Anna, grandmother of Jesus, a book that I highly, highly recommend, which talks a lot about Anna, grandmother of Jesus, and her covenant at Mount Carmel. This is also one of the mountains that we'll be journeying through Magdalene Oracle for our Magdalene Feast Day celebration, a virtual pilgrimage from the 22nd of July to the 24th of July, where you get to remember yourself through the Magdalene as a living frequency, refine your inner oracle, and remember your body as one of Earth's sacred temples. We'll be journeying through 3 sacred sites, recorded sacred sites of the Magdalene current and the Magdalene consciousness, which is Mount Carmel, the Starwalker temples of Egypt, and Saint-Baume in France. And this is places where you really get to remember your ancient starfire technology in your body, and you get to feel what it means to embody Christ consciousness and come into a circle of wise women that you always belong, because we're going to do that all together. The temple doors are open, and you can click the link below to join us. Okay, so let's allow ourselves to come into a contemplative state as we receive the sacred site medicine of Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel has been renowned since ages for its biodiversity and also medicinal flora. And the reason why I want to name this is I'm actually recording this sitting in the mountains in another place, but wherever I go, I look at not just the geography, but I look at what are the flowers, what are the plants, what is growing here, what are the animals, like what's the biodiversity like? Because this is the first thing that also tells us about the energy of a place. And the reason why I am also naming that is because Mount Carmel and its very specific biodiversity was actually called, this is where the name derives from, Garden of God. So you can already tell about the abundance that was giving, like the flourishing flower fields, the medicinal herbs. So everything that we need as humans to be alive, to feel good in body, mind, and spirit, people would find there. It was also a pilgrimage place where people would go to find healing, to find silence in the caves, on the mountain, and really go into that inner state of listening, which is all about refining our inner oracle, right? Because the messages come from here and they are reflected and mirrored by the sacred sites, by that mountain, by the caves, by the wind, everything that is speaking to you. So in that sense, this botanical richness and also the spiritual legacy that was present reinforce one another. Mount Carmel is also a very layered mountain, sacred layered mountain in the Mediterranean. I mean, even if you just look at all the different forces and powers who try to claim the land and stamp it as theirs, there is a reason why that is happening in that region. And it's a place where multiple traditions have really accumulated over 4,000 years. So it's also important that we distinguish. And as always, I'm not here to give you like a historical background. Most of the let's say, information or the experience that I have received is actually through the channeling in Claire Hartsong's book, Anna, Grandmother of Jesus, and my own research, my own experience, and just like sitting in contemplation with the land and receiving the codes. So if we are exploring through the Magdalene or like priestess lineage, the lineage of the sacred feminine, I feel like it's still important so that you distinguish and discern what is true for you, and also what belongs into the different traditions, whether it was Anna, and then with Anna also Mother Mary and Yeshua and Mary Magdalene in the Jewish tradition, and then later the Christian and the Romans and the Carmelites, like all these different layers that came and influenced, but were sort of like communing with the mountain because it was so holy. And so if we look at the name, it's a Hebrew name as far as I know, Carmel, and can be translated, as we already said, Garden of the Gods or Vineyard of the God or Orchard of God. So all of that really symbolizing that richness. And just picture yourself for a moment, like in this lush, I am seeing olive trees, I am seeing greenery, and I am also seeing mountain springs. I'm seeing crystalline mountain. So it's that fertile landscape in a way, and one of the oldest places that really continuously evoked and invoked ritual activity in that Levant region. You might have heard of the prophet Elijah. And so Elijah was one of the first ones, and this is a story that we can read in the Bible in the book of Kings, where he challenges the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel. Now that tells us two things. One thing is that there is a lineage that goes even further back. There is ancient worship of other gods that predated that. And also, because this was happening on Mount Carmel, it was like that challenging of prophecy, that challenging of maybe even like what is a false worship, and going through a purification maybe of lineage. And the place was chosen very specifically and very deliberately. So we can see that the energy that Carmel holds is really one of purification and prophetic authority. So when we speak about prophecy, it's really all about like being the oracle. How do we embody the oracle? And when we speak about those prophets, right, or we also read like, Yeshua was a prophet. There were many prophets in his congregation. But what it truly tells us is that we are the oracle. The mountain is the oracle, and we are, and it's a mirror of who we are. And we are the oracle all the time, because your body is reading energy through its meridians, through its organs, through its chakras, through its distinct architecture and energetic signatures, and what I call like the starfire technology all the time. It is just that we haven't really learned first how to understand and how to translate what's being read in the system, in the field, in the environment, and how this is being translated specifically into our brain. And second, how we work with it so it doesn't overwhelm us. And also that discernment and distinguishment, like, is this really mine? Why am I receiving this? Do I need to do anything with it? Can I just like let it pass and let it through? So you are the oracle, and a lot that is being preserved and passed down specifically in this Magdalene lineage of light with the divine feminine holders. And I'm also like, there is a specific, I want to say, like holding of the field that happens through the feminine and also through the masculine. But with the also physical and not just energetic womb spaces of the feminine, there is a very specific preservation, like in the 𝗪𝗪𝗁 lineage as well, where these codes are being passed on from daughter, from grandmother to mother to daughter, and so forth and so forth. So this is what's happening when we look at the light codings and the light encoding in the Magdalene lineage. And within that context, Carmel plays a very distinct role. And again, I would want to mention the book Grandmother Anna, Grandmother of Jesus by Claire Hartsong and it's a channel book. So again, like use your discernment, what feels true and what doesn't. But she talks in depth about how Anna is the prophetess of that Essene community that lived on Mount Carmel. And when we go into that like historical layer, the Essenes were a part of they were a Jewish group. And again, like taking the etymology of the word, the 𝗪𝗪 and the 𝗪𝗎, so to say, it can mean source of being or holy one. And there is a part where I feel the truth that there is also a lineage that was preserved like through the Egyptian layers. There's Akhenaten connected to that, and potentially also Moses. So all of them held specific codes within also their incarnations, and the almost like wisdom schools they built around it that are not so commonly known about it. So what happened at Mount Carmel is there was a school established about prophecy. And people would go out to seek out that oracle, actually. And what also happened there, to my understanding, is that specifically about the cave system. And this is interesting because when you come to Magdalene Oracle, we're going to be working also with different caves. There's the caves at Mount Carmel, and there's the cave at 𝗪𝗵𝘁 where Mary Magdalene lived and ascended, which caves have a very specific and a very special energy for many different spiritual purposes, like throughout eons. But the energetic signatures and what gets activated in our body in these specific caves, depending on their usage over time and the ritual, ceremonial, holographic overlay coding that is still accessible there and stored there, is differently. So when you come into Magdalene Oracle, which is going to be our virtual pilgrimage to celebrate Mary Magdalene and her life, but also how we can remember ourselves in our truest essence through her, you're going to be journeying through Mount Carmel, the temples of Egypt, and 𝗪𝗵𝘁, and you're going to get the very different specific sequences and energetic architectures of the starfire technology that get activated in our own flesh and bones when we connect with these places virtually. So what is stored at Mount Carmel is the codes of rejuvenation, of longevity. And you've heard me talk a lot about this ancient body technology. Like, what is it? And it comes in many different forms. Specifically at Mount Carmel, and if we speak about grandmother Anna, and now you can look this up in the Bible. If you read about Anna, you will find that and I'm probably going to say it wrong, but I feel that she was like over 500, maybe not even even older than that, 500 years or older. This is not just a story. And also, this was not just a normal woman. Well, she was, but also she wasn't. And what if you just opened yourself up to the possibility that this was still possible today? Now, whether you want that or not is a different discussion. But talking about ancient body technology, this is what our light body, our vessels are capable of. When we spiritually attune to the too specific, I don't want to use the word right because there's no like right or wrong. Attune to, first of all, like our energy body more and more, and we become aware that we are this conduits for consciousness, basically. We can recreate our body every single day. And you know biologically that you are doing this. I think for now, it is just over the span of like 7 years that our cells, our whole makeup, our body rejuvenates itself. Now imagine there was a technology, a spirit technology, a starfire technology encoded in your body, in your physical body, with the rightful use and dosage of energy that you are transmuting yourself constantly. Now, this is a mastery of high holy alchemy. And Okay, we're not going to go too far in detail. We're going to go more into this in Magdalene Oracle. But this is a glimpse of the sacred site medicine that is stored at Mount Carmel and in the cave system, combined and paired with this foresight, the prophecy, the oracle codes. And when I say foresight, like usually when we think of the oracle, we usually, like, what comes to mind first thing is vision. This is only one gift. This is only one city, how the oracle can speak and how the oracle can translate. There are so many others. And this, in turn, is something that we're going to go into the Magdalene Reiki certification, the Magdalene Starfire healing. The temple doors are also open. So if that is something that you want to explore, we start on the Lion's Gate on 8/8, where we really go into all of the different signatures that your oracle speaks to you and translates. So imagine grandmother Anna, and she is that already back then because of her age, because of that old soul, holding these lineage codes of legacy as well. And like she is passing them down to her daughter, who was also light conceived, Mary. And then Mary in turn light conceives Yeshua, and brings in the avatar, the human being of Mary Magdalene, who is then also being initiated into these secrets and the wisdom to be held. So why is this also even like important in the days that we are today? Because first of all, you might have heard me say also about, think of Magdalene not only as a woman, but Magdalene as a title, as a symbol, as a signifier of the capability of what this master being, I want to say, is capable of. And I'm not even talking about Anna or Mary Magdalene. I'm talking about you. I am talking about you because this is possible. We just need to remember that we are coded for this, and we need to remember that we are coded to remember. So all of these fractals that we are receiving throughout our lives, that are codes of remembrance that are pulling us back into who we truly are in our deepest essence, what we came here as a template. And everybody who is incarnated at this very time, and everybody who is listening or watching this very sequence right now, there is a mission that you have to fulfill while everything is crumbling. Our systems, our matrices, our societies, everything is crumbling. And we need those frequency holders. We need those pillars of light to not just hold and harness what's still there and good and righteous, but needs to be alchemized and transformed, and also to be the lighthouses to guide the way forward. This is people that we need, and these people is you and your friends. So this is why we're doing it. This is why this matters and why it's important. Okay, let's take a deep breath together. As we also picture Mount Carmel as this really great mother across the Mediterranean, and where this goddess lineage, this lineage of light, the lineage of the Magdalene and Christ, is still accessible. Okay, and if this is something that you find very intriguing and you would want to know more about, then join us in Magdalene Oracle. Magdalene Oracle is a virtual pilgrimage that is created for Mary Magdalene's feast day, 22nd of July, inviting you to remember who you truly are through the living frequency of the Magdalene, the oracle wisdom of your own body and Earth's living sacred temples, such as Mount Carmel, the Star-Walker temples of Egypt, and also Sambam. And these are where you will awaken, such as they did, the starfire technology in your body, and really embody your inner oracle, not second guessing, not asking anybody else for permission or approval, and come home into a circle of wise women that you have always belonged to, because we remember when we come together and we create this frequency field. So What you'll get in this virtual pilgrimage is 3 live 90-minute ceremonial transmissions from these powerful sacred sites where the Magdalene key codes are stored. We have Mount Carmel, which is the desert rose stream that we'll dive into with the longevity codes and also the Magdalene lineage of light. We have Egypt with the Starwalker temples that are aligned and a mirror of the sacred passage and pathway of the initiate of enlightenment, which is a mirror to your chakras as stargates. And then we have 𝗪𝗵𝘁 in France, which is a stargate mountain, an oracle mountain holding the triple flame of the Magdalene, and also levitation as frequency technology that we're going to be exploring. So each of the transmissions combines sacred site frequencies, embodied Magdalene starfire activations, guided ritual experiences, and also space for reflection and sharing. And of course, our live oracle sister, Circle. You get lifetime replay access, and also we keep a private oracle priestess community on Telegram. And that is not all, because you get very cool bonuses. That is a 𝗪𝗪 transmission that takes you even further along the Magdalene route into the Emerald Heart as the final integration of your Magdalene Oracle pilgrimage. You'll also get a Magdalene Oracle journal that I designed as your digital companion with reflection prompts, Oracle writing pages, sacred maps, and a curated Magdalene reading list. And also, for everybody who's joining, you will get the opportunity for a discounted priority invitation to join the next Magdalene Reiki Level 1 that we begin 8th of August, Lionsgate. Now, your investment for this virtual pilgrimage is 222 Swiss francs, the Magdalene number, or your equivalent in your local currency. And you also have the option for a payment plan. The doors are open and they close the 21st of July, one day before we begin. So join us. This pilgrimage is intentionally created to time with one of the year's most potent Magdalene portals of remembrance, that is Mary Magdalene's feast day. And by the way, just a little after, we also have St. Anne's Day, so Grandmother Anna. So we'll start on the 22nd of July and run all the way until the 24th. Your place in the Oracle Circle is waiting, and I invite you to enter the temple and remember who you truly are and step into a living field of Magdalene remembrance. Thank you so much for being here today, and if this resonated with you, share it with a friend and leave us a review. As always, may you remember that you are Starfire incarnate.